Yeah. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, so can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, quick one. I think we can start. Okay, that is good. So today we are looking at the Model 2, which is going to cover port governance and institutional framework. So under that, we look at port ownership models. We will consider public-private partnerships. Then we will finally look at the role of port authorities. So when we talk of port governance and institutional framework, we are looking at how the port governance indeed is establishing the rules, the authority, and then the structure for managing the ports. Whereas the institutional framework is defining the divisions of responsibilities among um, the public authorities, the private operators, and then the port authorities as well. So quickly, we'll look at what port ownership models we have, and then what is the real meaning of port ownership models. So the port ownership models is actually describing how ports are owned, financed, managed, and then operated. So when we talk about the port governance, that is establishing the rules, the authority, and then the structures for managing the ports. And then the institutional framework is defining the division of the responsibilities among public authorities, the private operators, and then the port authorities. So the models is actually the port ownership models. It's describing how ports are owned, financed, managed, and operated. So as we can all see, different countries adopt different models depending on government policy, the investment capacity, and efficiency what goes. So in global port management, we have four major ownership models, and they are the public service port model, we have the two ports model, and then we have the landlord ports model. And then finally, there is a fully privatized ports model. So we are going to look at the four major ownership models that we have, or that are commonly what's recognized across the globe. So the first model is the public service port model. The next one is the two ports model. The third one is the landlord port model. And then we have the fully privatized port model. So let us look at the public service port model. So when we talk of the public service port model, the government owns, manages, and operates the entire port. So the Public Ports Authority controls infrastructure, the superstructure, equipment, and labor. So the key characteristics are full public ownership and control. Port Authority performs cargo handling and marine services. The government provides investment and then financing. And then when we look at the advantages, yes, there is a strong government control over strategic infrastructure. And then it can support national development towards objectives. So the disadvantages are one, often there is a less efficient due to bureaucracy. Two, there is also a limited private sector innovation, and there is a heavy financial burden on the government. So some developing countries historically operated ports fully under government authorities such as the Ghana Port and Harbors Authority in its earlier was operational structure. We were also looking at that. Now we look at the two ports model. So in the two ports model, the government owns the ports, infrastructure, and equipment, but private companies handle cargo operations. So yeah, the public authority owns infrastructure such as the quays, the terminals, and then the belts. But equipment like cranes and forklifts are also owned by the public authority. And then the private operators provide labor cargo handling services. So when we look at the advantages, it is actually encouraging some private participation, and it is also reducing operational burden on government. But the disadvantages are there is a possible conflict between port authority and the operators, and then operational inefficiencies due to divided responsibilities. So we look at the landlord port model as well. So the landlord port model is the most widely used system in the modern world port. So in this model, the government owns port land and basic port infrastructure. Private firms lease terminals and operate them. So when we look at the characteristics, the public sector acts as a landlord and regulator. The private sector handles terminal operations, cargo handling, investments in superstructure. So advantages, this is actually encouraging private investment and efficiency. It is also reducing government financial burden, and it is enhancing innovation and competition. So when we look at the major global ports, they do operate under this model, including the ports of Rotterdam, Port of Singapore, and then Port of Tema in Tema, Ghana, where private terminal operators actually manage container with terminals. Then we have the fully privatized ports model. So under this model, the private companies own and operate the ports entirely. So when we look at the key characteristics, we could see that yes, there is a private ownership of the land, the infrastructure, equipment, and operations. So the government only regulates through national laws. And the advantages here are one, high efficiency, two, strong investment incentives, three, markets driven operations. But the disadvantages here, one, risk of monopoly pricing, two, government loses strategic control over critical infrastructure. So some ports in the United Kingdom operate under fully or under full privatization. Okay, so we look at the summary table here, and then we see the four models that we discussed: the public service ports, the two ports, the landlord ports, and then the private ports. So when we look at the public service ports, infrastructure ownership is by the government. The two ports, infrastructure ownership by the government. Landlord ports, infrastructure ownership is by the government. And then for the private ports, it's just private sector. Then when we look at operations, yes, government is actually in charge, but the two ports, private operators are also responsible for operations. And then landlord ports, private terminal operators. And then for the private ports, it's solely private sector. So when we consider the investment, we could see for the public service ports, government is in there. The two ports is mostly government. But that of the landlord ports, we have public and then the private. And then for the private ports, in terms of investment, is solely the private sector that is actually investing into it. Okay. So once we are done with the port ownership models, we can now look at the public-private partnership, the PPP. The PPP. So we consider the public-private partnership in port development. So the public-private partnership is where we are looking at a collaborative arrangement between the government and then the private sector to finance, to build, manage, or operate the public port infrastructure, such as the ports. So in the port sector, the PPP are widely used to improve efficiency, investment capacity, technology adoption, and service quality while maintaining what public was oversight. Okay, so we will consider how best we are going to understand the PPP in ports. So when we look at the ports itself, then public-private partnership in ports is an arrangement where the government or the port authority partners with private firms to develop or operate port world facilities. So the public sector typically owns the land and regulates the ports, whereas the private sector provides investment, technology, management expertise, and operational efficiency. So this model is common under the landlord port system used in many global ports. Example is the container terminal expansion at Port of Tema in Tema. Ghana was developed through a PPP involving the Ghana Port Harbors Authority and private investors to do that. So the government alone cannot really help us to achieve the economic development that we want to achieve. So there is a need for us to sometimes invite the private sector to also come on board to help the government to pursue a common goal. So doing that, they allow the private investors to also come on board. That is how come the government will do the necessary arrangements, and then they need to look at the terms and conditions. Then they will agree on that, and then the private investor can also push money into the business, and then they will strike their percentages. Okay. So we look at the key features of the port's public-private partnerships. So when we look at the features, we could see that the public-private partnership in ports usually include shared risk and responsibilities. So the private investor and then the government will all share risk, and then they also share responsibilities. So if the private is responsible for making sure that the terminals are operating very well, you are responsible for that, and you need to make sure you are pushing for the people to do the right thing. And then when there is a risk, we are all investing and we are expecting that there's going to be a profit. When we invest and we are not making profits, the private and then the public will bear the risk. When there is any challenge that they have to deal with, the two parties will come together and look at how best they are going to handle it. And they have a long-term contract or concessions. So whatever deal that they are striking, they look at the long term. So it's not just a short-term kind of agreement that they have to consider, but they consider long-term contracts. And the private sector, investment in infrastructure or operations. So the private sector make sure that, okay, I have to invest in infrastructure or maybe how best the port will operate. And then the government will make sure that indeed they are also regulatory or they are regulating every activities. They have to make sure they are providing an oversight over there to make sure that the private person is also adhering to the rules and then the regulations so that they don't just violate and they allow them to operate. So the private operator may be responsible for maybe container terminal operations, maybe cargo handling, terminal equipment investments, or the maintenance of the facilities. The private operator may be responsible for that. Okay, so we will now look at the common PPP models in ports. So when we look at the common PPP models that we have, then we can now look at the benefits and then the challenges that we may have or we may face as a country. So when we look at the common PPP models in ports, one, we touch on the build, operate, transfer, that is the BOT. So where a private company will build a port facility, will operate it for a concession period, and then will transfer the ownership back to the government. And then we also have the BOO, that is build, own, and then operates, where the private sector will build, own it, and operate the facility permanently. Then we also have the concession agreement, where the government grants a private company the right to operate a terminal for a fixed period that is often 20 to 35 years. So many global terminal operators such as the APM Terminals and DP World operate ports through concession agreements. So we will not just go in for PPP when there are no benefits to the entire country. So we consider the benefits before we enter into public-private partnership. So when we do that, we need to make sure that the country is going to increase on investment. So government, by so doing, can attract large private capital for port world expansion. So we need to expand. So when we come out with a PPP, then we can attract the individuals, the investors to come on board, come and help us to expand so that the ports can operate and operate very well. Because at the end of the day, we need to operate by ensuring efficiency and effectiveness so that we can gain competitive advantage. Then operational efficiency is also key. So the private firms will often introduce advanced logistics technologies and better management systems to help the ports to be able to operate and operate very well, to be very efficient in terms of operations. And then we want to reduce public financial burden. The government alone cannot do everything. So once we have private people who can come on board, individuals having the money to come on board, we just have to invite them and then give them that kind of opportunity so that at the end of the day, the infrastructure costs are shared with the private investors. So it is not only the government. So if we want to reduce the public financial burden on the government, then we need to look at how best to bring the private investors on board to help the government to achieve that. And then finally, technology and innovation. So we need to have access to technology because cargo handling and all that we need modern tools to be able to do that. So we need the private investors to come on board so that they can help us procure the equipment that are needed, the modern ones that are needed to help the port to operate very well. So if we are looking at optimization in terms of operations, then we need technology and innovation. So we are all complaining about how documentation sometimes will delay, how best we can have the right technology in place so that electronically we can do everything, and then we can process the document, and then we reduce the delays that businesses are actually facing when they have to go through documentation process and all that. So we need access to new machines, highly automated ones, that could help us to also operate very well. Because at the end of the day, we are pushing to be more efficient. So how are we going to do that? We need access to technology and innovation. So we need to invite the private investors to come on board to help procure some of these things, the latest equipment that we have, fully automated ones, to help the government to achieve the ultimate goal of making sure that the port is very efficient and effective in its operations. Okay, so once we are trying to bring the private investors on board, we need to consider the challenges. There are challenges that we are going to face as a nation once we are bringing the private investors on board. So one, we need to consider the complex contract negotiations. The complex contract negotiations, because we are looking at long-term contracts that we need to have. So we need to consider the complex aspect of it and then negotiate very well. We need to also consider the risk of private monopoly or high tariffs, because they are bringing their money on board. The charges may go up, and it is something that we need to sit down and then discuss with them very well, so that at least at the end of the day, what they are bringing on board will not affect our people so much that they may end up complaining that even though they are enjoying good service, but the charges are also too much. And then regulatory and governance challenges. So we all know that now we are looking at environmental issues. Whatever that we are doing is about sustainability. So once we are bringing private investors on board, we need to make sure that the regulatory bodies are also going to set their rules that they need to abide, so that they cannot just come and then be operating, and at the end of the day, they are just creating issues. They are polluting, they are, the environment will not be safe for us. So we need to look at regulatory and then the governance challenges that we may have. And then finally, possible conflicts between the public objectives and the private profit goals. Because the private investors are profit oriented. So once they are investing, they are looking at how best they can get their money back. So they consider the payback period, they consider return on investment. So they are conscious about the profit that they are going to get. As the public is also trying to, make sure that at least charges will not be too high, so that the people will not complain. So there may be a conflict between the public objectives. They are seeking to make sure that the people can afford the services that they are rendering to them. but the private person is profit oriented, and they may also have different um, ways of doing things, which may affect it may create a conflict, or it may affect the public trying to pursue its own objectives, or when they want to pursue a common objectives, it is going to affect them. So effective regulation by port authorities such as the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is therefore what essential to help us to overcome the challenges that we may have when we bring the private people on board. There is a need for effective regulation by the port authorities, so that at the end of the day, it will help us to overcome the challenges. Because when we look at the benefits, yes, it is something that indeed a nation is actually looking forward to enjoy. Hence, once people are coming on board, we need to make sure that the authorities are indeed coming out with an effective uh, rules and regulations that will help them to be able to welcome the investors on board, and then it will not create issues in the near future. Okay, so we can now consider the role of ports authorities. Yes.
So I wanted you to go over the complex contract negotiation again.
Okay. So you see the contract that we are looking at is a long-term thing. So once it is a long-term, we may have clauses in there that is going to protect the private investor, and that is also going to protect the public. So we are going to have a complex contract, and which means that we need to negotiate very well, because they may push for maybe high tariffs because they are profit oriented, and then the government will also try and then bring it down, because you need to make sure at the end of the day, the services that we are rendering, the people can also afford. So what are we doing? So it is going to give us a complex contract negotiations. It is not going to be a very simple one that, do ABC, and then I also do this, and we are good to go. No, we need to sit down and structure the whole thing, look at the terms and conditions very well, because that is a long term. So if you don't consider the terms and conditions very well, it may affect one party, and then that party will suffer for too long. Therefore, we need to make sure that the terms and conditions that we are going to agree on thoroughly, we dissect the issues, we read it well, we seek an approval from the other authorities to help us, so that when we sign, we know very well that we will not have issues going forward. Because if you are not careful, because you want them to come, you may just accept it, and then at the end of the day, they will be making the profit, and then the government will not get anything. Or they are also, because they will be pushing. So it is not an easy kind of a contract that we are going to sign. So the legal bindings that we are going to have, we need to make sure that we really, really read to understand the terms and conditions. So that is the complex contracts negotiations that we need to have. So that's at the end of the day, the long term will not affect one party so much that we are going to regret for even entering into such a contract.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
And also, when you talk about the regulatory and governance challenges, what are some of the challenges that we are talking about here?
The regulatory and then the governance challenges, you see that once you are now coming, the governance is actually responsible of establishing the rules, appointing the authorities. So maybe an investor is coming on board, but who is responsible for this? who is actually going to handle this, who is going to handle that, who is going to handle that. So the governance aspect is looking at that. And sometimes the private people may disagree with you when you are pointing that, okay, I want my people to be in charge of maybe this, and they may disagree, and they have to also think that they may push for their people to be there. Maybe we need to also get our reps to be there so that we can all do equal monitoring and evaluation of whatever is going on. And then for the regulatory, you see, the authorities are saying, let's say EPA may have their own standards, the way that you have to operate when you come into the country. Energy Commission may have their own standards, things that you can bring in when you want to maybe enjoy the national grid and all that. So we have our regulatory and then governance challenges, because maybe the investor is also coming from a different country, and their expectations may differ from, or the way they do things over there may differ from how things are done in Ghana. So once you are bringing them, they need to understand what the regulatory bodies are actually demanding, what they are requesting, what they are calling for, so that they will make sure they are adhering to the practices in our country. They cannot just come and do things anyhow, because we are protecting the environment. So you need to make sure you are operating, but you are abiding by the EPA rules, the standards that they have actually set to guide your operations. Safety issues. So we need to look at safety issues. So regulatory bodies will make sure that I remember I was just doing a training for some Gambians, and then they were telling me that the Indians went to their place, they gave them a contract, and the guys over there, they engaged the local guys to work, but the local guys were not given PPEs. So in the course of their duties, there was an issue, and then I think they lost about 9 or 19 guys. So you see, when you come, the regulatory body will be on you, that makes sure our people are working under the right condition of service. So you cannot just engage them maybe the way you are paying. Fair Wages and Salary Commission will come in that, no, you are even paying them below the minimum wage, which is something that Ghana as a country, we cannot entertain it. So the regulatory body will be on you. Okay, so they will not just allow you to come in and you are coming to do things anyhow, the way you think, oh, let me do it. I think the guys can even work. That some organizations, they don't even care about the safety aspect of the people. So you may even work for more than 7 days without getting an off day to rest. So the regulatory bodies will not just allow you to do things like that. So these are some of the challenges when they come or when they are ready to invest. We need to sit down, making sure that indeed whatever the regulatory body is actually demanding, we are going to adhere to it. And these are some of the things that we may face as a country.
Okay, sir. Thanks. Let me ask my last question. I just want clarity. So, has it been a case? Fine. Has it been a case that let me start from this way. So, whenever you hear investment, or somebody or a company trying to invest in a different country, you always hear either individual or people who have money to invest in a different project or different things in different countries. Has it been a case that a government of another country tried to invest in a different country with the sole aim of making a profit? Has it been a case like that before, or is it possible?
Well, that is possible, but if the government is actually going to invest in a different country, the government will also make sure that its people are coming over to look at how the business will go. But in a situation that we are looking at PPP, for our discussion, we are looking at public and private partnership. So in this case, you are not looking at how another government is coming to pump money into your business. But
very well, very well.
Yes, so when the concentration is on public-private partnership, then we are looking at private people actually coming on board to invest.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Okay, so you look at the role of port authorities. So one, they are responsible for the port planning and development. So the port authorities are responsible for strategic planning and expansion of the port water infrastructure. So development of new terminals and then the belt, they are responsible for that. Expansion of maybe container handling and capacity, planning for future trade, how best we can grow, they are responsible for that. And then how best we can attract private investment, they are responsible for that. So when we look at the expansion of the Port of Tema, it involved large-scale infrastructure planning by the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority. Then we look at infrastructure provision and maintenance. So the port authorities provide and maintain the core infrastructure required for the port water operations. So they may look at the quay walls and then the belts, the navigation channels, the breakwaters, the port roads, and then the utilities. Okay, then they also look at the regulation and what governance. So the port authorities regulate the port activities to ensure fair competition, safety, and compliance with the maritime world laws. So regulatory responsibilities may include licensing terminal operators, enforcing safety and environmental standards, monitoring port tariffs and charges, ensuring compliance with international maritime regulations. And then we also look at facilitating the marine services. So the port authorities coordinate essential marine services required for vessel movement. So the pilotage, they look at it, the towage, the mooring services, the vessel traffic management, they are also responsible for that. And then they make sure they are promoting trade and economic development. So the ports are critical gateways for international trade. So port authorities promote trade by improving port efficiency, reducing cargo handling time, attracting international shipping lines, supporting import and export activities. Then they are also responsible for coordinating with stakeholders. So coordination with stakeholders, the port authorities make sure that they coordinate the activities among different stakeholders within the port system, including the shipping lines, the terminal operators, the customs authorities, the freight forwarders, the logistics companies. They are responsible for that. And then finally, environmental and security management. So the port authorities ensure that ports operations comply with environmental and security standards. So pollution control, waste management, implementation of port security systems, and then compliance with international maritime security regulations. So we write the 4 questions down, and then we look at a small case. Please, can you all see the questions?
Yes, sir.
Can we now consider the case? Or we are still writing the questions?
So we can move on if
Okay. So please, can we see?
Yes, please.
Okay. So how many minutes? Can we use 10 minutes to read the question? Or 5 is okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, so are we ready for the solutions?
So, just give us a moment.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the first question is, why did the government adopt a PPA model for the Tema Port project?
So, sir, can I go ahead?
Yes, you can.
So the government adopts the PP model, right? That is a
Yes.
public-private partnership model for the
Yes.
Tema Port project to address critical operation challenges and leverage the strengths of the private sectors based on the reading, based on the case study we had. The primary reasons for this decision include infrastructure development and expertise, also addressing operational challenges, and also modernization of equipment and strategic economic positioning.
Okay. Okay. That is fine. That is great. So what roles did the public and then the private sectors play in the PPP projects? So what roles did the public and then the private sectors play in the PPP projects?
Can I? Okay, Sabote is coming.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, please, the first question, the first question that you asked, I think it will also expand capacity and reduce congestion to enhance Ghana position of a major trade in West Africa.
Okay. Yes. But West Africa, was it measured, was it stated in the question or the case?
Negative.
Okay. So you have to make sure you are indeed, it is something that we know we are going to benefit, but strictly by the case will also help. Okay, that's great. So the second one is we need to fish out the roles the public and then the private sectors actually play in the PPP projects.
So there's a hands up.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. That's Sabote did face, yeah.
Okay.
The question number 2. Yeah. So it says, what role did the public and private sector play in the PPP projects?
Yes.
Yeah. So I can say that the private sector is responsible for the physical development of the port, which includes construction of new container terminals and installing modern crane and also implementing advanced port management system.
Yes.
For the public sector, we can say that they have maintained the port, the ownership of the ports, and also they have provided the necessary regulatory to ensure that the projects align with the national interests.
Okay, yes. So the private operator was responsible for constructing the new container terminals, installing the modern cranes, and improving cargo handling processes. Meanwhile, the government retained ownership of the ports, land, and provided regulatory oversight. So when you are able to write like this, if it is 5 marks, you get all. Okay, that is great. And then what were the key benefits of the PPP arrangement? So can we identify the key benefits of the PPP arrangement?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So improved operational efficiency.
Okay.
Which is 1. 2 is enhanced technology and tracking.
Okay.
3, benefit of shipping and trade.
Okay.
And it's a lot, but I'll mention 4. So the last one is financial and strategic advantage for the government. Yeah. Financial and strategic advantages for the government. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Then finally, we are looking at the challenges that can arise from the PPP projects. So what challenges can arise from PPP projects?
Okay, sir.
Okay,
we can talk. We can talk about the costs. The cost.
Costs.
Yeah.
How will you explain that cost?
So
how will you explain the cost?
Okay, because of the they have increased the capacity. The private sector has increased the capacity. So here the cost will come, the port service charges will increase.
Okay, so so you can talk about concern about the high tariff, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. That's okay. Yeah.
And also the benefits, the balance of the benefits.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
So between the public sector and the private sector, how it could be shared equally.
Yes. So that's how come people actually started raising issues about that. Okay. Yes. So I think in exams, when you get a similar case, you'll be able to answer. Are we comfortable with the case, or when we get a case for exams?
I think it's broad and it might take time though, but I think it contains everything that the question is asking. However,
exactly.
you need to be very careful. Yeah,
at your level, I don't need to set a case that is quite, you need to think outside the box before. If it is MBA level, fine, that one, I mean, you think outside the box to get the answers. But at your level for now, the ability to read the case and even fishing out the right answers is okay. Yes, it's okay. So
I think it's laudable. It's quite laudable. Yeah.
We'll be touching on cases, and then finally we can decide.
Sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm listening.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello.
Mr. Randolph, we can hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Randolph, please speak. We can hear you.
I thought the connection in between, so I don't know the question. If someone can just repeat it, so
okay.
Okay, so I think I'll share it with the class rep, and then you have the keys and all the questions as well.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I want to know the question one. What I was saying, is it not in line with the question you are asking?
Oh, it was in line. It was in line. So you could see all the points were just in the case, and you were also just touching on the issues. So I give it to you, right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, now I wanted to ask a question about the vessels.
Okay.
Sir, please, I want to know the vessels, whether we also have them, like if you come to the transport, transport session, you see that maybe if you are, let's say you are going to Tamale, they have VVIP and they have other buses. Is the vessel, are they also the same thing? Let's say Tamale, VVIP will be taking 300, but we may have other buses who will take 200. So I wanted to know, maybe the vessels, do we have VIP or VVIP? Like in the aircraft, they have first class and economy, then so on.
And then business class, yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, so
the goods that maybe you are shipping them from other country to Tema Port or any other port.
Okay. Yeah, so
hello.
You know, if hello, is Randolph?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are you speaking?
Yes, sir. No, sir, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, so when you go to the charging and all that, we have the Incoterms that are actually covering us in terms of shipping. There are others that may opt for FOB. There are others who may also opt for XWorks and all that. So when it comes to the shipping, the arrangement between you and then your supplier is also key, that you need to make sure you are opting for. Some will just put the items on board without insurance. Some will also make sure that what you are shipping, you need to make sure an insurance is covering that. So the charges will not be the same. Where someone is actually opting for free on board and you don't want any insurance, and if one is also going for XWorks, it will not be the same. The charges will differ. It will not be the same. So you need to make sure the Incoterms that you are using between the buyer and then the seller will even let you know that the cost components in the first place are not the same. So that one is something that you need to check before you even, because we were ordering from China, and then the supplier quoted FOB, and then the supplier also quoted GDP and all that. So you could see the Incoterms, they were telling us different cost components altogether. So you have to be mindful of the one that you are going to select. And that is going to actually tell you that, okay, for this, the cost component, I'll pay this amount. But if I'm going in for free on board, that one, the cost component is also quite lower than you going for GDP and all that. So we have to look at the one that we are going to select. And then for the vessels, if you look at the Incoterms that you select, that is actually going to tell you the cost component that you have to pay or you have to bear as a buying organization. But when you go to Thermaports, even those that are going to cruise, I think they have different prices. It will not be the same. It is never the same. You may go for a distance and maybe per the capacity and then the usage. One may tell you that this will cost this when you are, even you want to cruise around and all that. So basically, that is what I know about the port, their system. If you want to send your goods or if you want to bring it, you have to make sure the Incoterms that you select will give you a cost component and they are not the same.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So you make sure you select the one that will help you.
Yes, sir.
So if they are calling for an insurance and you are going to bear, and when there is any issue, the insurance company will take care of it. So the cost component will never be the same as the FOB, the free on board. I remember when we were buying, the difference by then was almost 3,000 USD. Yeah. When you go in for the FOB, that is free on board, you are going to pay, I think we were going to save 3,000 USD by then. But when we opt for the insurance one, that one, we were going to pay an additional 3,000 USD to it. And then the company looking at the goods that are coming, we opted for in the insurance one, and then we paid for that. So the costs are not the same. Okay.
So Mr. Randolph also has a question. He sounds it.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Mr. Randolph, we can hear you, please.
Now, so we are waiting. I think
maybe
he's off.
His connection. I know he's. I can see he has unmute himself, but he can.
Okay.
Maybe he's having challenges with network. But
Yes,
so then until he comes in, I have a question. This is quite personal, but it's in relation to what we are doing. So this is my first time. In fact, I'm in aviation, so I'm not. It's my first time to be introduced to this program, like things about procurement and logistics things, right? So I've requested a letter for internship from the school. They've given it to me. I'm opting different countries to try to see if I can get a place to do the internship there. That is on my leave. I want to ask, me being a logistics student, and the first time, getting in touch with this, is there any, or is there some areas that I have to pay much attention to when I'm doing the internship, or anything about the airport or anything about the port? I have to know, because it's my first time going there, and at least by the end of the day, or at the end of the day, at the end of the internship, I need to get some skills from those. I have to learn something. So is there some specific areas that I'm supposed to concentrate more on since it's my first time?
Okay. That was Emmanuel, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Yuma. So, why are you going to do the internship?
And so right now I'm opting for 4 countries. Like I have a document though, but it's either Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, or Ethiopia.
Okay, and then the organization.
So the organization is either port or airport. I mean harbor or airport. But basically, since we are doing port operations this semester, I'm trying to get to the harbor instead of the airport.
Okay, so ideally the harbor will help you. It will help. And personally, there was this man who was actually looking for a place to go and then do training on public procurement practices. And then the boss he was working with is actually uh, coming from US. So he advised the man that no, don't go to US, but you have to go to Ghana and go and learn more, because when it comes to procurement, Ghanaians are good. Ghanaians are really, really good. So when you look at our public procurement act, we are actually helping a lot of people. A lot of other countries, Africa countries, are actually learning from us. So if you can do it here, for me, that is fine, because you can have friends over there that you can learn a lot from them. But then if you go out there and you really want to understand logistics, supply chain, procurement, transport, and all that, because some are doing logistics and transport management, some are pursuing procurement and supply chain management, some are doing logistics and supply chain management.
Yeah.
All that. So if you really want to master procurement, you want to master logistics, you want to master supply chain management and all that, when you go to Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority to learn from them, and you start from the warehouse. You need to understand warehouse activities, what goes on. So goods that are coming in, we have a dispatch and then receiving officer who is responsible for the goods that are actually coming into the warehouse and the goods that are actually going out. So you need to start from there, and then you understand the warehouse activities very well. After warehouse, knowing how to dispatch goods and how to receive goods, because they all have the software. Goods that are coming in, when you receive, you need to make sure you enter so that the inventory will update. And then goods that are going out to, you need to make sure you update so that the inventory will also subtract from it. So that when we do a physical count, all the time, it is going to match with what we have in the system. So you start from the warehouse, it will help you. And then when you are, I don't know the duration, but you learn at the warehouse and then you go to inventory, inventory section to learn inventory management. So you learn more about inventory management, and then from the inventory management, you may go to, if they have a logistics unit or department, you have to go there and then learn from logistics. Or some organizations may say expediting office or an expediter or logistician. You have to go there and go and learn from there. Then from there, you can move to, if they have the procurement units, then you go to procurement, how to raise order, how to do strategic sourcing, and all that you need to also learn. So if you really want to understand the system, you have to start from the warehouse to be even a storekeeper. How do we issue? Because it has to do with inbound and outbound logistics. Goods are coming in, goods are going out. So you need to understand. So where I was working, I was working in the mining industry. And the mining, when you come for an internship or national service, we take you to the warehouse first for you to master all the items that we are using in the organization, because mine maintenance, mining is just like the port. Mine maintenance, plant maintenance, and all that, a whole lot. So we have met department and all that. So you have to learn. And the warehouse is not easy. So you learn how to receive the goods and how to also dispatch the goods. So you work with the receiving and then dispatch officer for a while, and then we move you to inventory aspects. So when you receive the goods, you give it to the inventory officer to also make sure that we are going to key in the items and all that. And then the ERP system that we were using over there, you learn to understand the whole system. And then from there, you can move to logistics. So they will give us the updates when the goods are coming, the expected date of shipping, the actual date of shipping, the expected date of arrival of the goods, and then the actual date of arrival of the goods. So they do all that. So they also have a database to that effect, so that at least you can communicate. So you communicate to their suppliers and all that. So it is an integration. So if you really want to understand the entire supply chain, procurement, logistics, and all that, you start from the warehouse and then you can progress to the procurement unit.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So I heard you mentioning mining sectors also having some similarities. I mean, having something in common as compared to the operations at the port. So so I can also start from there instead of the port. I can also start from there, right?
Yes, you can start from there, because for them, we have people who are responsible for the clearing aspects. Okay. So yes, so you'll be coming to Tema sometimes to come and clear the goods. So when you come, definitely you understand how the port is also operating. Okay. And then when you go back, how best we are also managing our inventory, our warehouse system, and all that. You understand everything and how we procure. And over there, we do procure a lot. We do because the port, if not for maybe an infrastructure development, when they are done, I don't think they procure like the way the mining company or the oil is procuring. So that is also another place that you can go and then learn. And once you are in Accra, I mean, another internship, maybe you can also go to the port. So if you can have time to learn from different industries, I think it will help.
Okay, because my situation, I'm currently not in Ghana, so that is why I'm trying to weigh the options to see which one will help. Because I'm in the aviation as we speak now. I work with Qatar Airways, but I've had interest in the logistic aspect of the business. I'm not the type of office. You know, I always want to be on the field. So my department, they've accepted that I can go on my leave. You know, when we have our annual leave, I can go. However, I need to bring some documentation that shows that I'm not going to receive any money and those things. So that's why I'm asking to know, because they're going to ask me all these things. Right now, they know what I'm studying. They have details, information of what I'm studying right now. So when I present to them that I'm going to do internship, they will ask me questions, which they started asking for document and also this kind of questions. So I wanted to know which, area, and it will help me. So that if I have, at the end of the day, if I finish the degree and then I have the skills, at least I can either move to where I want to move to, or if I want to pursue the career to the higher level, I can do that. So they are asking questions which I needed answers. That is why I'm asking you this.
Oh, okay. That is good.
But I'll reach out to you. for more information.
All right.
Okay,
yes.
I have a question, sir.
Let's finish it.
Okay.
Because I also started as a warehouse guy at the mining. So I worked there for 4 years before developing an interest to pursue procurement and supply chain management for the first degree. Okay. So when I was actually doing the program, I was also having fair idea about things that are happening, just like maybe Randolph and Co. Once this port operations is actually going to favor those who are working over there. Yes, so I also had a similar experience over there. So I was working with them and then I decided to pursue. Initially, I was thinking about even human resource management. I mean, when you are young and then you see HR managers, you want to also become an HR manager. But later I realized that I've been in the warehouse. Now I understand how we do, we take stock taking, we do it, how we receive goods, how we do dispatch and all that. So if I'm going to pursue a program, then I think I need to opt for supply chain management. And then I did BSc procurement and supply chain management by then. And then right after the program, I was moved to the supply chain department fully. And then that is where I started working. When I moved in, I worked with because for the warehouse, I was having the experience. So they moved me to the inventory side, and I worked with the inventory supervisor. I was under him for some time. And then they moved me to the expediting office. And over there, I worked. And then finally, I was moved to the procurement unit. I now purchase orders, raising purchase orders and all that. And so that is good thing. I think we will look at how best we also help you to understand the entire system. Okay, that's great. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So I've sent my number to class rep, so you can take it from him and then
okay, sir.
Talk.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, Kofi. So we are listening to you, Kofi.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, we offering these transport and logistics. After the course, do you have to go and study procurement before you can acquire all that you just mentioned?
Okay. Your program is transport and logistics, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If it is transport and logistics, maybe level 400. You've not done anything related to public procurement.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so maybe we need to see your level 400 courses that you are going to pursue. Then we will know, because the level 300 they are doing procurement and supply environment. So I don't know if maybe you may also do same when you get to level 300. So if you do, sometimes the course content alone will help you to also be conversant with the procurement practices. So I've not seen the courses that you are going to pursue, but logistics and transport mostly you can also because of the Public Procurement Act. Sometimes we need people with procurement background to be procurement officers and all that. But if you do public procurement, or maybe if you do any procurement related, then you can also push for that position. Because sometimes when we advertise, they will say that people with procurement and supply chain, logistics and all that, maybe transport and so you can go there. But logistics and transports, we need to study your courses very well and see.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
But one thing is that now you see, even with your logistics and transports, when you go to the public sector, it's about job training. So we need to make sure that we are going to, and once you have a background, it is easy for you to, the only thing that you have to master is the Public Procurement Act, so that at least when the opportunity is given, you understand the thresholds. So what goes into regional approval, what goes into district approval when it comes to goods, works, and services. You understand the thresholds, and then you'll be able to work, because you are going to go through a training, and then you'll be able to work in a public office, maybe, or also in a procurement office. Yes, you can work over there.
Oh, okay. Is it also possible to maybe a postgraduate course for the public procurement? Is it also possible to be that way? Maybe
Yes,
after the
yes,
first degree with transfer.
yes, yes. After the first degree, you can go in for I just designed an MBA program that they are looking at procurement, logistics, and supply chain management at an MBA level. Yes. So you can go and then pursue that. And I think over there, let me see some of the things that we are doing. You study the public procurement and all that. So MBA will also help you to actually move to a place like that. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So I was just reading about these qualifications, both the procurement and logistics firm, the field. So I was told, I was actually talking to some of the schools in Australia, and they were saying that after the first degree, before you can pursue or you can proceed for either the master's or PhD, you need minimum experience of 2 years. Is it a mandatory thing for all the institutions, or is just, just a formality, or some institutions?
For the MBA, normally they want that working experience, but if it is for MSc, they may not even request for the working experience. MBA, they really want to know that indeed you have working experience more. But now for Ghana, once even the class, it depends. If it is first class or second class, upper or lower, right after your first degree, you can do your master's.
Okay.
Yes, right after your first degree, you can do your master's. And now we have access programs for those who may get third class and pass. Okay, so if it is third class or pass, it is there that we are looking for maybe working experience, or now we have an access program that you can do to pursue that. So Ghana here, you don't need that working experience. And as some of you are already working. So the working experience, wherever that you are working, you have working experience. So you may get an introduction letter, or maybe a recommendation from your line manager or someone, or maybe from the HR department, and then recommending you for a program, and you can go and do it. You can. Once you are going to pursue masters, they will demand a recommendation. They will demand recommendation. Yes. So once you have it, you can just pursue your masters. And if you want to do it in Ghana, or if you want to do it outside, quickly you can do it, because I have guys who are doing it outside. Some are in the UK, US, and all that. They are doing their masters, and they are doing it in supply chain. So I'll be having a meeting with one of the guys who did his internship at Golden Star by then, when I was the warehouse officer, and he came there after his and around that time he did even HND. So I pushed him, and then he did a top up for the degree. And after the degree, he's now doing his MSc outside. He's in UK now. So he's now going to write his thesis. And the school is actually requesting for a very good topic. So I'm going to have a meeting with him right after the class to decide on the topic that he is going to work on. There has been a guy that I've been actually pushing him to do his PhD. So he is now doing his master's. So if you are doing it in Ghana, that is not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Right after the first degree, if you want to do it at GCT, you can do it. If you want to go to Tech, if you want to go to Legon, if you want to go to ATU, wherever that you want to go, UCC, you can go and do it. You will not struggle at all.
Okay.
It is only the MPhil, the Master of Philosophy, that if you want to do that, we want to make sure that at least for research you are strong. You are you are really, really strong. If you are not strong for the research, it is going to affect you for your PhD. If you want to do a PhD in the near future, it is going to affect you. And that is something that we really push you to understand research very well. Very, very well. So you'll be going for seminars, you'll be doing presentation and all that. So those that are pursuing MPhil at GCTU, they've been doing presentations for us to, look at the work, raise issues here and there. So that is another thing. So for the masters, if it is MSc, so that is one thing, because when we don't push you hard, you struggle for your PhD.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to do Doctor of Philosophy and not DBA, Doctor in Business Administration. But if you want to do PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, over there is full of research. So we have to make sure that we are indeed preparing you well. Because, people will tell you they are pursuing it and they've been there for 6 years, 8 years. I graduated with a guy who have been there for 13 good years.
Whoa.
Yes, 13 good years. And every year it was attracting a penalty fee of 6,000 Ghana cedis. Yes. So for 13 good years, you can imagine the extension fee alone he was going to pay. And now those that I started with them, those who couldn't graduate this very year, they are paying 25,000 as an extension fee. If they are unable to graduate in November, next year they are going to pay another 25,000. So every year it is attracting 25,000. And that is telling you that if you are going to, and I know guys who have been there for 8 years, some have been there for, I think one called me this morning that her data is ready and I have to look at it for the data analysis. That is my field. So I'm going to look at it and then have us reanalyze the data by using the structural modeling, AMOS, and then Smart PLS. So that person has been there for 8 good years.
I will get in touch with you because this is
so it's not an easy thing. Yes.
No.
Yes.
I was hearing the guy, my colleague was asking you about Ghana when you want to do the masters.
Okay.
I think in other factor too, when they bring a law that you have to get 2 years experience, then we need to go and sell us water before we can do the masters. It's true.
Why?
It wasn't. It wasn't Ghana investees actually. So
no, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying if Ghana and if Ghana they say that because I'm saying this because of unemployment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Because you graduate first degree, you may be in the house, no job for 5 years. So
yes.
that if they say that I have to get 2 years experience before I can be doing the masters, you can imagine.
But Ghana here Ghana here, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't really work like that. Right after your first degree, you can do your masters, but you can do it. We are actually calling. We need people to do masters, and that is where we consider strategic issues. So indeed, we are advocating for, and we are even happy to get more people pursuing their masters. It means that the economy can grow very well, and we are encouraging people to do their masters. So Ghana, you are not going to sell the pure water.
Okay, sir.
Yes, right after your first degree, you can apply. Even if you want to do it in the same institution, right after that, you just have to apply and then you start. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here it's not applicable. Mm-hmm.
So my last question. So for some of the certifications, I learned that after taking the formal education certification, you need to also get some certification from one institution that I was just making inquiries with them or making a research on them, was the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying, I mean, for you to be globally certified, kind of something. Not, and I stand to be corrected if I'm mistaken here. They were making something like that. I was just reading about them and I came across that information. I even shared with some of my colleagues, and I was telling them about it. So it was you automatically qualifies to be a member once you've been enrolled in a degree program which has a relation to what you are doing. I mean, the logistics and procurement. So
yeah, that is really true. Some institutions are really working in collaboration with the chartered institutions. So currently, we are also developing one for when it comes to accounting and finance. Yeah, I see.
Okay.
We finish working on it, and once you are done, you write. I mean, you write just 2 papers, yes, and then you become a member. And then we have SIFs, the GIFs, and all that, the thoughts. So in fact, yes, once you are done, some schools have internal arrangement. Once you are done with first degree, you have exemptions that you have to write maybe 1 or 2 papers, and then if you want the advanced, it depends, the advanced diploma, and then the certificate. So probably if you want maybe advanced diploma, first degree, you have exemptions, and then you have few papers to write, maybe 2 or 3 to write, and you get it. If you have masters, probably you also have exemptions, then you have to write maybe 1 or So it depends, maybe the level that you want, and then you can rise to become a fellow member for the SILT, and then the guilds or the SIPs.
Yes. So
yes,
what I'm looking at now. Okay.
So for now, once you are done, for the master's level, that one I know. For the masters, we've been able to where I'm coming from. Let me see where I did my masters, where I did my PhD. Once you are done with the masters, you are a member of SIPS.
SIPS, yeah.
Yes, SIPS, and then you get the MSIPS. Yes, from there. And then
I think GCTU to you be a member of a SILT.
Because of the transport and logistics, yes. So, and then we have the SILT over there. So I was even a facilitator at SILT, and then they gave me the certificate and everything. And then right after the PhD, what they are saying is that I can go in for the fellow for SILT and then the SIPS as well. So it depends where you are coming from once you are done. And now it is very important for you to, because we are talking about practitioners and then the professionals.
Okay.
So when we say you are a practitioner, it means you don't belong to any professional body.
Oh, okay.
Yes, if you are not a chartered member or chartered person, then we say that you are a practitioner. So if you are a procurement officer, you are an expediter, a logistician, whatever, and you don't have this professional certificate, you are only a practitioner. You are not a professional.
And these are what some of these big companies, and most especially my company like this, these are some of the things they look out for.
Yes,
they have been monitoring their system for a while.
They need professionals. They don't need practitioners. They need professionals. So you need to belong to a professional body. Yes. So once you are done with once you are done with the first degree, you will get it. And if you are in Ghana, others will even start writing it.
Okay.
They will start writing for it before they will even graduate. So maybe level 300, you have it. You may even have the diploma or advanced diploma before you even graduate for your first degree. Okay. So when you graduate for the first degree, you can go and then upgrade yourself to become a fellow member. Yes.
Wow. That's a lot of work.
So you have to make sure that indeed you are pushing.
I said I'll get in touch with you. I'll
Okay.
personally get in touch with you.
Okay.
I'll take your
So
number
once
from
you are
call
done
and
with
I'll
the
get in
first,
touch.
yeah, take it from once you are done with the first degree, don't relax at all. Please, you have to finish it. If you want to do your master, just do it and then relax. The PhD, you can do it later. You can do it later, but for the masters, you have to do it. You have to do it. Yes.
We shall see. I'll get in touch and then we'll talk more.
All right. That's okay. So God willing, next week. So I'll share the slides with class rep, and then God willing, next week.
And so also the course outline. Last week I came in lately, so I couldn't. Get the recording aspect of it. So if you can also show the course outline to the
course outline for. Okay. I'm working on that too. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay then. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Yeah, Pong. Hey, ada ya Pong?
End of your phone.
Okay. We go, man.
End of your phone.
Meet you all, bye-bye. Metisela Jane Casano, you ain't go for man, bye-bye.
End of your phone.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right.
I learned they say the business law will meet at 6.
Yeah, 6 p.m. That is what he's saying. So
Okay,
we are waiting for him.
Okay, sir.